We have got some breaking news when it comes to this vote, so I'm going to try and bring in or dial up Olivia Casely. So, yep, there we go. So, missed it. So it looks as though, and the board had flashed up that Australia voted for these two resolutions for them. I can't quite see there. Yep, there we go. We've got a green mark on Australia's name. So this is in relation to two questions today. One had related to a permanent ceasefire plus the release of hostages, and the second point being support for UNRWA. Is Liv ready? She's still working on it. Okay, let's go back to, she's ready now. Olivia Casely joining us from Canberra to talk through this. So, yeah, as we pointed out to James Patterson a little earlier, support for UNRWA, questionable, according to the opposition anyway, because as we know, it has links to Hamas. We fund it, by the way. We'll partly fund UNRWA. We send a bit of funding there every week, which basically means that we could well be funding those terrorists or those sympathisers who work on behalf of UNRWA. Olivia Casely, have you got me?
I do indeed. Okay. Can you hear me, Pete?
Yep, I can. Okay, so bring us up to speed with what's going on here, Liv.
Okay, so we've now seen this UN motion calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire in Gaza, as well as supporting the mandate of UNRWA. That has passed unanimously, I should say, in the United Nations. It follows 2 days of fierce debate, really, on this issue. Ultimately, one of the key sticking points was this support of the mandate of UNRWA. We have seen the likes of Israel and the United States, indeed some members of the coalition, such as James Patterson this morning, arguing that this humanitarian body has troubling links to Hamas, the terrorist organisation. But we've also heard from the vast majority of United Nations members who say that this body is just so critical when it comes to delivering crucial supplies, I should say, to Gazans in the Gaza Strip. Now, one of the key points of contention is that UNRWA funding and that support. And because of that, we did see the United States scupper a similar motion passed just a couple of weeks ago in the Security Council. And that is why we have seen this second motion put forward this week that has now passed. It is non-binding. However, it does reflect sort of broader international opinion. Just prior to this vote, we did hear from Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, and he explained why he was imploring the world not to support it.
The vote today is not a vote for compassion. It is a vote for complicity. As if this betrayal is not enough, you pushed for a resolution that failed to even condition a ceasefire on the release of the 100 hostages still held by Hamas.
And this is a position, Pete, shared by the likes of the Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Patterson. When he was speaking to you before, he says he's got real concerns around UNRWA's links ultimately to Hamas, a terrorist organisation. Now, just to bring viewers up to speed, UNRWA was a body actually created by the General Assembly in 1959, and it has been the main source of humanitarian aid to Gaza since the conflict broke out, but it has had difficulty getting those supplies over the border. Here was James Patterson earlier.
UNRWA has admitted themselves they employed multiple terrorists who were involved in the 7 October atrocities, the worst loss of Jewish life on a single day since the end of the Holocaust. They also employed Hezbollah terrorists who were involved in coordinating attacks from Israel in the north. This is an unreformable and unreformed organisation.
Now, my sources have told me that James Larson, he's Australia's representative at the United Nations in New York, will be making a speech shortly where he will explain why Australia has voted the way it has. We also heard from Anne Ali, Early Education Minister for the Labor government this morning on Sky News, and she's also provided some detail around that rationale.
the humanitarian rights of people in Gaza and in Israel to live peacefully, and our responsibility as part of a global community to vote in accordance with a pathway that will bring peace in the region. The Jewish people here in Australia are not the Israeli government. We need to separate the two.
So we remember that just a couple of weeks ago, Australia voted yes for a similar motion. Ultimately, that was a significant shift in position, and it did lead to a strong rebuke from the Israeli government.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu out front on that one too. We'll see what he or the Israeli government says about that a little later on after the vote. Thanks for jumping up, Liv.